Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and once again, more Shadow of the Erdtree. Today I'm covering two NPCs in a joint storyline. That's Igon and the Dragon Priestess. This questline is actually quite straightforward compared to others we've seen in this game or the series, but the rewards are well worth it, even if there's two particularly challenging fights that are involved. For example, check this out. The dragon transformation is finally here in Elden Ring, and it's the real one that turns you into a kind of human dragon hybrid, not just a brief head of a dragon while you cast that one incantation. Through this item and transformation, we'll be able to boost our ancient dragon cult incantations, furthering that playstyle as an option. And also via this storyline, we will be defeating a major boss of the DLC, Bayle, a dragon, so do be warned that I'll be showing that boss fight during its section in this video. That means we're going to get access to his two unique Bayle themed incantations at the end, and we also get access to things like this new great bow with dragon slaying arrows, a dragon hunter style new armor set, and even a new melee weapon tied to arcane. Plus there's max level upgrades for both regular smithing and somber smithing as well, so there's a lot of value to this questline. But I want to give you some advice before you begin this. In this area we will be fighting drakes and dragons. They're weak to a unique weapon that we're going to get during this, and that's going to be a great option to swap for this section. However, keep in mind that things like a cold build for frost build up, that's going to work wonders. Bleed will be incredible for the optional boss, but terrible for the main boss since he's literally immune. And then lastly, lightning and fire resistance will be very relevant. So there's a quick heads up, let's begin. To kick this off then, we actually begin in the Gravesite Plains region, the first region of the DLC, and I'm standing where the first NPC will be. This is the Pillar Path Waypoint, which from the starting area, you come to the first cross, you cross this major bridge, and you got the castle front. You follow this main path and road all the way up to this grace, and you're in the right place. Down below here is a screaming in pain NPC, Igon, who's very important. There's not much you can do for him right now, but you can exhaust his dialogue. Basically, he hates the dragon Bayle, who has ruined his body. From this point, we just need to head dead south through this valley, where you're going to see lots of these dragon-related statues. Also, the first time you come here, you're going to be invaded by the ancient dragon man. And in this form, he's not too dangerous, so just dispatch him, which is basically through this valley, and we're aiming for this cave, the Dragon's Pit, which as we get to the end here looks like this. So you can enter, there's a grace immediately, and you can begin this cave. To put this section simply, you have a cave with these dragon skeleton types. When you defeat these, you need to make sure that you hit the body as they start to glow to prevent them reviving. Also, you can just use kind of holy damage stuff, which will kill them instantly. But you want to progress this area all the way to the bottom, where there's going to be a boss fight. And there's that dragon man again, and he's using a very unique weapon. Defeat this boss, and you'll get it. That weapon is this, the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. And it comes with a unique Ash of War, Dragon Wound Slash, which is what the boss was using against you in that fight. The point of this weapon is to kill dragons. It has a passive that's called Anti-Dragon, and the Ash of War is designed to hunt the dragons. If you charge the attack, it'll also fire it off as a ranged attack, and that's going to be a great way to deal with lots of the enemies in the section. So you can swap to this and upgrade it now if you want to, because it will be very good, or you can choose to use a cold build or whatever, but just be aware that this was made to make this next section easier if you're not sure about what to use. After you've completed the boss fight, you can exit to the back of the boss room where you didn't come in, and you'll find a grace that exits out into this cave here, which is the region we're going to be playing in, the Jagged Peak. From here, we just kind of head straight east down to the water below, where there's actually a few drakes you can kill. To show you the map, you're going to be heading to that water, and then heading south through this valley until you come to a very important location, the Grand Altar of Dragon Communion. Here you'll find the Dragon Priestess NPC and the Dragon Communion for the DLC. When you examine it, you'll have two options. Communion with Bayle, which is going to be useless to you at the start, but those are the two incantations that you're going to be able to choose between once you kill Bayle. Immediately though, you can do the ritual to get the Ghost Flame Breath, which is themed around, yes, the Ghost Flame dragons we've been killing around the DLC. So you can pick this up if you've got 3 hearts, maybe you've been killing the other dragons or the drakes from the water earlier. But now let's turn to the NPC. Here we have the Dragon Priestess, who offers you the path to dragon related power. It's important to know that you need to speak with her here before facing Bayle, or you can miss out on this interaction, an important step. Through this conversation, she gives you this item, the Ancient Dragon's Blessing, after you agree to what she's asking you. It is a consumable, which will trade FP to massively increase your damage negation. All damage as well, which is pretty incredible. Further, you get more damage negation while blocking with a shield. That's incredible too. Very useful when facing a tough enemy like Bayle. When you use it is up to you, but now at least you have it. With her conversation exhausted, it's time to climb the mountain. It'll actually be faster if you travel back to the Dragon's Pit Terminus Grace. We're going to cross the water, and this time we're going to head northeast following this along to our first grace, the foot of the Jagged Peak. As you can see, it's pretty much a straightforward route with a spirit spring that brings you high enough to see the grace. Next, we'll head higher up southeast, where we have our first boss fight, where it's more of a mini encounter. There's these two drakes that are fighting one another. One's using lightning and the other fire. Behind them, just above, is Igon who's watching. If you want, you can wait for them to lower each other a bit, but you can just get in there because they're pretty standard drakes, especially the fire one. And I'd suggest you target one and focus it down rather than spread the damage, because that can mean they both attack you and that's pretty bad. In any case, defeat them and Igon will love it. Go over and speak with him. Through his conversation, he offers you a finger. This finger, simply being in your inventory, will allow you to summon him during the bayle fight, which is exactly what we're going to do. Honestly, he's going to make a huge impact on the fight, making it way easier. But before you press on at this point, maybe go back to the grace. We did just fight a boss, so you might want to restock. So from the foot of the Jagged Peak, we're going to follow the main path leading up, and with a few spirit springs, we're going to work our way northeast on the way to the next grace. But before then, we're going to come into this big cave. So showing you the route directly, we're hitting those spirit springs to climb higher and higher, and on the way we'll actually encounter these rolling boulders. You want to avoid them hitting you, and also take note of the lit up item at their starting location, just below where they're starting to drop. That indeed is a scadutree fragment, which is absolutely worth picking up. Then we can start climbing uphill again, where we'll encounter that big cave I mentioned. Here is a sleeping dragon, and that's Senesax. It's a full-on, nasty boss fight that's also optional. If you choose to fight, the reward will be 2 max upgrade stones. One for regular smithing and one for somber smithing too. There's no unique items or anything amazing outside of that, so if that doesn't matter to you, you can just skip this. Nothing stops you from running north to the next grace. It doesn't even affect the questline. However, should you kill it, be aware this is a reused asset, a lightning dragon like the one you fought in Altus Plateau originally, but scaled up in the way where they put it in the water, so that enhances its lightning damage and also causes it all to burst in large AoE, and they've massively increased the damage it does and the health. There is a lot of criticism around the DLC and overscaled enemies, and while I generally understand the complaint but don't agree, I do agree on this specific enemy, so do be warned. I'd advise you to ignore the head and even the front half in general, like most dragon fights. Just stick to the back legs and hind, punishing the openings and then running further behind it to avoid any AoEs. Just like any other dragon, you can use the dragon slaying katana, or you could use frost or bleed as alternatives. With range, you can even aim for the head and stay away, and defensively there's items like the Pearl Drake Talisman that can reduce its main damage types. But to be honest with you, I just bowled through with my normal build and mimic tier as usual. Even though it was fire damage, it's entirely possible to kill it with like a sub-ideal build. You don't have to perfect this. But after you kill it or skip it, at the top of the slope that leads out of that cave, we have the next grace, the Jagged Peak Mountainside. So from the Jagged Peak Mountainside, we're going to progress the main path by climbing higher and higher, following the main route with spirit springs to jump up those distances. Generally this means you're aiming southwest, and you could run around here and get some items, but the main item I'll point out to you. Now by the time you reach the tighter platform that starts turning east, you'll have another spirit spring showing us a cliff edge with lots of dead drakes, and dead ahead of you to the east is a lit up special item that is indeed a max upgrade stone we can grab. With that in hand, we'll turn to north and climb higher up, eventually hitting the final grace before bayle, the Jagged Peak Summit. Alright, so here's the bayle section if you want to avoid this and don't want to see it. I'm going to be giving you details on how to beat it. Bayle is weak to 3 main things: frost build-up, scarlet rot, which is interesting, and of course the unique dragon killing art of the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. Be warned, he is immune to bleed. The biggest impact here though is Igon, who you can summon once you're in the arena. It's a bit awkward though. You have to first step towards the middle, that summons bayle, and now he's active, you can turn around, go back to the entrance, and pick up the newly available summon sign. If you do die, you can summon him from the moment you enter from then on, because bayle will be active straight away. Igon though is amazing. He shouts out his hatred at bayle for most of the fight. It's very funny. He deals consistent damage with his dragon hunting bow. He makes it so much easier. But don't forget, you can also summon your own Ash summon, like the Mimic as I do, if you want to make this as easy as possible. Other tips I can give you are simple. Firstly, he moves around a lot and flies, so I wouldn't keep the lock on him the whole time because he messes with the camera a lot. Just turn it on and off whenever needed. Further, try to avoid aiming and fighting the head. Most of his attacks are going to be big frontal or near enough to his sides. It's much safer to fight at his back, be that the back legs or even over by the tail. He uses a mix of lightning and fire though, if you want to think about resistances. And don't forget about that unique consumable we got from the Dragon Priestess to pop if you want to. Also, I want to give you a tip that Pest Threads as an incantation is very effective against a big target like this. Honestly though, I just stuck to the tail and used my ash as a punish. Even though it's a fire-based attack, the damage was fine. With both my Mimic and Igon fighting and distracting the boss, I was able to punish him and get to phase 2 no problem. At that point, just focus on staying alive during the big spectacle attacks, and then get back to behind him to start attacking again. With Bayle's defeat, you'll get his heart and a new grace to activate, with a very grateful Igon to say his goodbyes. But before you go back to the dragon altar, I want you to return here to the foot of the jagged peak. Roughly about here where we first met Igon, you need to go back to. Unfortunately, at this location, you'll find the truth. His real body perished, broken beyond repair by Bayle. We summoned, as he told us, his soul. He's now at rest though, having completed his task at least, and with that, we're just going to take his stuff. That means his great bow, his full armor set, and the bell bearing. For the bow, it is indeed a great bow, so a massive one, and it comes with his unique Ash of War, Igon's Drake Hunt. And it also enhances the power of Igon's Harpoon, the unique ammo type I'll mention in a sec. You'll also get his full armor set, all 4 pieces. But unfortunately, there aren't any special properties to this, it's just for fashion purposes. With the bell bearing though, you can bring that back to the Twin Maidens in the Round Table Hold like you would any bell bearing, and use it to upgrade their stock. You'll now be able to buy Igon's Great Arrows. Those are Igon's Harpoons. Their passive effect is to deal more damage to dragons, as you might have imagined, but obviously in combination with the Great Bow, it's even more effective. Next then, upon returning to the Altar of Dragon Communion, you'll find the Dragon Priestess is simply gone, and in her place 2 items to pick up. Firstly, we have the weapon, the Flower Stone Gavel, which is a hammer, with its unique Ash of War Flower Dragon Ball. As you can see, it is indeed an arcane weapon. Much like everything in this storyline, it's very good for dealing damage to dragons. When you use the Ash on a target, it will do lightning damage and also reduce their lightning damage negation, meaning follow-up lightning will be even more effective and you can charge it to make it stronger. So I'm looking forward to testing how effective this is. The other thing we got is the Priestess Ha, which turns you into the ancient dragon and boosts dragon cult incantations. Specifically though, when you're already in the form, you can pop it to give yourself a temporary buff that will further enhance those incantations. As it is a standard dragon transformation mechanic though, there is a downside. You cannot be wearing armor while you're in the dragon form, so now that I've transformed and I even try to look at armor, I can't do it. So you need to be fully naked before you use the item, but on the bright side, it's reusable. There's no cost, no FP cost, you can do it infinitely. The downside, as it will tell you, is that you will need to die to lose the transformation. You can't just turn it off. Now, because you've taken off your armor, you're more vulnerable, but when you're transformed in the dragon form, you do gain some passive resistances, but it's obviously not as good as a set of armor. But while we're here at the altar, we do of course have Bayle's Heart now, so we can choose the Communion with Bayle option and choose one of the 2 dragon incantations. We have one kind of raw style incantation as a classic, erupting in fire in the area, whereas with the other one, it's more of a target, smashing with a talon bone with flame lightning instead of just fire. The downside of these 2 though is because you only have the 1 heart, you will have to choose 1 per playthrough, which means if you want another heart and the other incantation, you'll need to redo this in New Game Plus. It's pretty unfortunate, but there you go. But there you have it. That's my guide to Igon and the Priestess storylines. Quite a few valuable items at the end of this, and a way easier boss fight at that, thanks to Igon. If you guys have anything valuable that you'd like to add to this guide, maybe drop it in the comments, maybe it'll be useful. But if this has helped you, please do drop a like. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.